Hello, hello, hey you guys. We're back. We're gonna make it real quick, because Scott didn't convince me to jump on here because he knows about the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So we're gonna do another chapter of the Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy.
Right.
As always, you guys are here. Oreo Jr. Jr.'s back there. I don't know, somewhere back there with his little friends. He ain't want to come to the front. We got Scott and we got me. And we're gonna get this book going, period. Are you ready, Scott?
I'm ready.
Okay, so the earth has been destroyed. That's what happened last time. And now we got to keep going and see what happens. Chapter 4. Far away on the opposite spiral of the galaxy, 500,000 light years from the star Sol, Zaphord Beeblebrox, president of the Imperial Galactic Government, sped across the Sea of Damogran. His ion drive delta bolt winking and flashing in the Damogram sun. Demogran the hot, Demogran the remote, Demogram the almost totally unheard of. Demogram, secret home of the heart of gold. The boat spread on across the water. It would be some time before it reached its destination because Demogram is such a inconveniently arranged planet. It consisted of nothing but middling to large desert islands separated by pretty but annoyingly wide stretches of ocean. Didn't you ask last time if there was water in space? And I told you, yeah.
Yeah, in space.
Yeah, Demogram has water.
Well, that's a planet. I'm in space.
I don't know if they got water, they got plasma
But I
though.
guess bring your wetsuit in case you land on the planet as well.
Bring a towel. Keep your towel to dry off with. The boat sped on. But of this graphical awkwardness, Danagram has always remained a deserted planet. This is why the Empirical Galactical Government chose Damagram for the Heart of Gold project, because it was so deserted and the Heart of Gold project was so secret. The boat zipped in and skipped across the sea that lay between the main islands of the only archipelago of any useful size on the whole planet. We gonna call him President Z because I'm not about to be sitting here using his whole name. President Z was on his way from the tiny spaceport on Easter Island. The name was an entirely meaningless coincidence. In galactic speaky, Easter means small, flat, and light brown. To the heart of Gold Island, which by another meaningless coincidence was also called France.
Okay.
It don't matter where you are in the universe. They all use the same language.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what's going down in the universe. One of the side effects of the work on the Heart of Gold was the whole string of pretty meaningless coincidences. Okay, they just doing nothing just to be doing nothing. But it was not in any way a coincidence that today, the day of accumulation of the project, the great day of the unveiling, the day that the Heart of Gold was finally to be introduced to the marveling galaxy, was also a great day of culmination for President Z. It was for the sake of this day that he had first decided to run for the presidency, a decision that had sent shockwaves of astonishment throughout the imperial galaxy. President Z? President? Not the President Z, not the president. Many have seen it as clinging proof that the whole known of creation had finally gone bananas. I've heard this before. Hmm. President Z grinned and gave the boat an extra kick of speed. President Z, adventurer, ex hippie, good timer, crooked, quite possibly, manic self publicist, terrible, bad at personal relationships, often thought to be completely out of touch. president, no one had gone bananas, not in that way at least. Only 6 people in the entire galaxy understood the principle on which the galaxy was governed. And they knew that once President Z had announced his intention to run as president, it was more or less a fate accomplished. The word is broken up on here. I don't, you see, it's like I don't know what word they want to say. It's fated.
Fait accompli.
Huh? Anyway, he was ideal presidency fodder. And they got a little asterisk under here. Basically, it just says that, the term empirical is kept, though it is now, whatever. It's basically saying the president don't have no power. He just there as a figurehead. Anyway, what they completely failed to understand was why President Z was doing it. He banked sharply, shooting a tall wall of water at the sun. Today was the day. Today was the day when they would realize what President Z had been up to. Today was what President Z's presidency was all about. Today was his 250th birthday. Uh-oh, girl, he lived longer than Moses. But that was just another meaningless coincidence. As he skipped his boat across the Sea of Daragam, he smiled quietly to himself about what a wonderful, exciting day it was going to be. He relaxed and spread his 2 arms lazily along the back seat. He steered with the extra arm he had recently had fitted just beneath his right one to help improve his ski boxing. Period. Okay. Hey, he cooed to himself. You're a real cool boy, you. But his nerves sang a song shriller than a dog whistle. The island of France was about 20 miles long, 5 miles across the middle, sandy and crescent shaped. In fact, it seemed to exist not so much as an island in its own right, but is simply a means of defining the sweep and curve of the huge bay. This impression was heightened by the fact that the inner coastline of the crescent consisted almost entirely of steep cliffs. From the top of the cliff, the land sloped slightly down 5 miles to the opposite shore. On top of the cliff stood a reception committee. It consisted in large part of engineers and researchers who had built the Heart of Gold, mostly humanoid. But here and there were a few reptilioid antimneers. I don't know if that's a British word, child. That's a weird word. 2 or 3 green, sylph-like maxa, whatever, an octopus, something else, or 2, and a huluvu.
All right.
A huluvu is a super intelligent shade of the color blue.
Okay.
That's what we doing today. All except the huluvus were in their multicolored ceremonial lab coats. The huluvu had been temporarily refracted into a freestanding prism for the occasion. So I guess it's just like blue. It's just like, oh, we're here to receive you. There was a mood of immersed excitement thrilling through all of them. Together and between them, they had gone to and beyond the furthest limits of physical laws, restructured the fundamental fabric of matter, strained, twisted, and broken the laws of possibility and impossibility. But still, the greatest excitement of all seemed to be to meet the man with a orange stash around his neck. I just wore orange. And I'm a cowgirl because that's kind of the way I see the president.
All right.
Ride him, cowboy.
Yeah.
An orange stash was what the president of the galaxy traditionally wore. It might not even have made such difference to them if they had known exactly how much power the president of the galaxy actually wielded. None at all. Only 6 people in the galaxy knew that the job of the galactic president was not to wield power, but to attract attention away from it.
Okay.
He a cover up for the real power. President Z was amazingly good at his job. The crowd gasped, dazzled by the sun and the seamanship as the presidential speedboat zipped around the headlong into the bay. It flashed and shone as it came skating over the sea in a wide skidding turn. In fact, it didn't need to touch the water at all because it was supported by a hazy cushion of ionized atoms. But just for effort, it was fitted with two fin blades, which could have been lowered into the water. They slashed sheets of water hissing into the air, curved deep gashes into the sea, which swayed crazily and sank back, foaming in the boat's wake as it careened across the hay. President Z loved effect. It was what he was best at. Me too, boo. I mean, look at this makeup look. I know, right? Just stunned them. Stunned the people. Anyway, he twisted the wheel sharply. The boat skidded across in a wild skid towards the cliff face and dropped to rest lightly on the rocking waves. Within seconds, he ran out into the dock and waved and grinned at over 3 billion people. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of people.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. The 3 billion people weren't actually there, but they watched his every gesture through the eyes of a small robot, Tri-D camera, which hovered in the air nearby. The antics of the president almost always made amazingly popular Tri-D. That's what they were for. He grinned again. 3 billion and 6 people didn't know it, but today would be a bigger antic than anyone had bargained for. A child, he about to do something crazy.
Right.
A man after my own heart. Love somebody doing something crazy. The robot camera honed in for a close-up on the most popular of his two heads. He waved again. He was roughly humanoid in appearance, except for the extra head and third arm. His fair tousled hair stuck out in random directions. His blue eyes glinted with something completely unidentifiable, and his chins were almost always unshaven. Okay, President. The 20-foot high transparent globe floated next to his boat, rolling and bobbing, glistening in the brilliant sun. Inside, it floated a wide, semicircular sofa upholstered in glorious red leather. And the more the globe bobbed and rolled, the more the sofa stayed perfectly still, steady as an rock. Again, all done for effect as much as anything. President Z stepped through the wall of the globe and relaxed on the sofa. So, sir, you got all these people here so they can watch you lay on the sofa? He spread his two arms along the back and with the third brushed some dust off his knee. His head looked about, smiling. He put his feet up. At any moment, he thought he might scream. What? Water boiled up beneath the bubble. It seethed and spouted. The bubble surged into the air, bobbing and rolling on the water spout. Up and up it climbed, throwing stilts of light at the cliff. Up it surged on a jet, the water falling from beneath it, crashing back, and the sea hundreds of feet below. President Z smiled, picturing himself, because he's a raging narcissist, baby. A thoroughly ridiculous form of transport, but a thoroughly beautiful one. At the top of the cliff, the globe wavered for a moment, tipped into a rail ramp, rolled down into a small concave platform, and riddled to a halt. To tremendous applause, President Z stepped out of his bubble, his orange stash blazing in the light. He waited for the applause to die down, then raised his hand in greeting. Hi, he said. I'm the president. I'm the president, Shaw. I'm the president. I know I ain't got my crown on, but I'm the president. Well, I'm cosplaying the president because Scott don't want to get involved. A government spider saddled up to him and attempted to press a copy of his prepared speech into his hand. Pages 3 to 7 of the original version were at the moment floating soggily on the Denograph Sea some 5 miles out by the bay. Pages 1 and 2 had been salvaged by a Demogron crest eagle and had already become incorporated into an extraordinary new form of nest which the eagle had invented. It was constructed largely of paper mache, and it was virtually impossible for a newly hatched baby eagle to break out of it. The Demogran eagle had heard of the notion of survival of the species, but wanted to truck through it. President Z would not be needing his said speech, and he gently deflected the one being offered to him by the spider. Hi, he said again. Everyone beamed at him, or at least nearly everyone. He singled out Trillian from the crowd. Trillian was a girl that President Z had picked up recently while visiting the planet, just for fun, incognito. She was slim, darkish, humanoid, with long waves of black hair, a full mouth, an odd little knob of a nose, and ridiculous brown eyes. With her red headscarf knotted in a particular way and her long, flowy silk brown dress, she looked vaguely Arabic. Not that anyone there had ever heard of an Arab, or of course. The Arabs had very recently ceased to exist because they blew up the damn planet. And even when they had existed, they were 500,000 light years from Denigram. Trillian wasn't anybody in particular, or President Z claimed. She just went around with him rather a lot and told him what she thought of him. Hi, honey, he said to her. She flashed him a quick, tight smile and looked away. Then she looked back for a moment and smiled more warmly. But by this time, he was looking at something else. Hi, he said to a small knot of a creature from the press who were standing nearby, wishing that he would stop saying hi and get on with the quotes. He grinned at them, particularly because he knew knew that in a few moments he would be giving them one hell of a quote. I feel like this is an idiot, and the quote is going to be idiotic. The next thing he said, though, was not a lot of use to them. One of the officials of the party had irritably decided that the president was clearly not in the mood to read the deliciously turned speech that had been written for him, and had flipped the switch on the remote control device in his pocket. Away in front of them, a huge white dome that bulged against the sky cracked down the middle, split, and slowly folded itself into the ground. Everyone gasped, although they had known perfectly well it was going to do that because they built it that way. Beneath it lie uncovered a small spaceship, 150 meters long, shaped like a sleek running shoe, perfectly white and mind-bogglingly beautiful. At the heart of it, unseen, lie a small gold box which carried within it the most brain-wrenching device ever conceived. Is it that drink that y'all gave us the ingredients for? A device that made this ship unique in the history of the galaxy. A device after which the ship had been named the Heart of Gold. Wow, said President C at the Heart of Gold. There wasn't much else he could say. He said it again because he knew it would annoy the press. Wow. The crowd turned their faces back towards him expectantly. He winked at Trillian, who raised her eyebrows and widened her eyes at him. She knew what he was about to say and thought he was a terrible show-off. This is really amazing, he said. That really is truly amazing. That is so amazingly amazing. I think I'd like to steal it. Okay. Period. The homie like, break yourself. Okay. A marvelous presidential quote, absolutely true in form. The crowd laughed appreciatively. The newsmen gleefully punched buttons on their sub-ether newsmatics, and the president grinned. As he grinned, his heart screamed unbearably, and he fingered the small paralyzomatic bomb that nestled quietly in his pocket. Finally, he could bear it no more. He lifted his hands to the sky, let out a wild whoop in major thirds, threw the bomb to the ground, and ran forward through the sea of sudden frozen, beaming smiles. The president just stole the ship, y'all.
All right.
And that's the end of chapter 4. Okay.
Okay.
What did you guys learn from that chapter? Write in the comment section. Scott, what did you learn in the comment section?
No.
Or not what did you learn in the comment section? What did you learn from this chapter? Sorry.
Oh yeah. I mean, not much of anything too substantive. It's kind of the president's pretty much a wacko.
Period. A lot of presidents are wackos.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, you can't be normal people probably don't want that job. It's too much. What I learned is this. Just because you think things are one way doesn't mean they're that way. So everybody's like, oh my God, how is this man gonna get the presidency? It's such a prestigious, it's such a prestigious job. Meanwhile, it is just a job to cover up for people who really got power. And this man is busy stealing the ship. Okay. He supposed to be, displaying to everybody. So things are not always what they seem. So use nuance and context to figure it out and see if it aligns with what the definition is, because sometimes it doesn't. Okay. If they're saying, oh my God, the color is orange, it has a peel and blah, blah, blah. You don't then say it's an apple. Do a little more research. Period. That's what I got. Did you have anything else, Scott?
I do not.
Well, I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys for coming, and we hope you guys enjoyed. We did enjoy having you guys here. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Comment it as well if you would like. And so with that, we're going to bid you guys adieu. So from wherever we are to wherever you guys are, peace and love and happiness. Skinny Marie, he's over there somewhere. We'll leave him there. And we'll see you later. Bye. Bye, y'all.